Hello everyone, my name is Broden Topper. I'm the Basecamp Content Coordinator here at Table Rock Mountain for the North Carolina Outward Bound School. I was a semester student last year. Was on course 65 days and it was life-changing, and now I work here. But what I'm doing today is calling one of my close friends and crewmates from course named Ashley. And we're going to talk about the awesome opportunity called the Ginger Sim Scholarship that she received to go on our semester course last year. We're going to talk about all the fun that we had and all the wild experiences and stories that we had, and just kind of catch up, and it's going to be great. So let's give her a call. What's up, Ash?
What's up? How are you?
I'm good. I'm just wondering if you maybe have some time right now to chat about our course.
Yeah, of course.
So tell me a little bit how you found yourself spending 65 days with 11 random strangers from across the country.
So I work at a school that, like I mentioned, and we have an adventure coordinator there. So he's the guy that kind of gets all the campuses, so like lower school, middle school, high school, to be involved in outdoor activities that create this whole thing surrounding We Are Crew. And he had stopped me in the hallway one day and was like, "Hey, have you ever heard of Outward Bound?" And I'm like, "No." And he was like, "Well, they have this scholarship," and he just started throwing all this information at me. And in that moment, I was just like, I was just like listening out of courtesy, but I was just like, I never get any scholarships, and like, what is the probability of me winning this and like going and like not being at work, or just all this like logistics stuff. I ended up like being awarded the scholarship, and they were just like, "Yeah, let's go." And I was just like, "Oh, okay."
What do you think was like the most memorable day, moment, or conversation that you had on course? Maybe something that's like really stuck with you over the past 8 months or whatever.
That's a tough one because I feel like all 65 days were pretty memorable. The first thing that just popped into my mind was that one day I forget where we were camping, but it was towards the end of our North Carolina time. But we did that thing where it was just like we were like in a hot seat type of thing. It was like love.
Yeah, hot seat, love seat.
Yeah, hot seat, love seat, or something like that.
Yeah.
But it ended up being really enlightening, I think, just for me personally, because I feel like throughout the entire course, there were moments where I learned a little bit more of who I am and how I am in group dynamics, and who do I want to be, like moving forward. So I remember that day being really like, it's just interesting hearing what everybody had to say,
Had to say about you.
Yeah, I think, and each other too, just like how people process other people. But yeah, mostly about what people had to say about me.
That was like a giant feedback session, right? Where
Yeah, it was
we're
huge.
receiving and giving feedback in a very
Yeah.
honest and vulnerable environment. Is there anything you like learned on course that you still use or think of today? Like, a lasting impression that course left on you?
Yes, I feel like this is something that I answer so easily all the time because it's the one thing that I left course feeling like, whoa. So I went into course, right, thinking I was gonna learn all these like practical skills that I've touched on before, like, yeah, I've kayaked, yes, I've been on canoes, yes, I've rock climbed, definitely hiked before and backpacked, but I was like, I'm gonna learn new stuff, like I'm gonna, be a pro.
Right.
I learned a lot more of just like this, more of like this inward, just who I am, what type of energy do I put out, how do I receive other people's energy, and just a lot more self-aware. I think I left course being a lot more self-aware, which is crazy to think about to me because I always like to think of myself already self-aware, but I guess I shouldn't limit it, you know? It's like something you can continuously grow, you know, you can grow in self-awareness. So
knowing the origin story of the scholarship, did that have any impact on you and how you approach the course? You know, like maybe a different lens, like because you were given this opportunity in light of being, you know, falling into this demographic that qualified for the Ginger Sim scholarship.
unknowingly, I think I, in the end, honored the scholarship in a way, you know, because I did read a little bit more about who she was and like how she really did care about her crewmates and like the experience that they were having on course. And it wasn't just like your experience on a solo, you know, kayak or whatever. It was like, how are you doing in this course? Like lifting others up, making sure they're okay, things of that nature.
So what would you tell someone that's considering applying for the Ginger Sim scholarship?
I would just be like, do it. Put on your Nikes and go for it. I would tell them like that it is a challenging course, and I think every course has its different type of challenges, you know? Like they're not all the same, even if you do the same things, right? Because the people aren't the same ever. But I would just tell them to go into this course with an open mind. And by open mind, I also mean open heart, because one of the pillars of Outward Bound is compassion, and you're gonna need that not only for those on course with you, but for yourself. And if you have it for yourself, I think it's easy to have it for others, you know? And not to think about it too much, because like it's a whole different world. When you're there, it's a whole different world. And once you're out, it's another different world, because yeah, you're back to your normal life, but you're not the same, you know? I kind of want to do it all over again.
So your advice is just to send it. Just if you're thinking about it at all, just do it, apply, and it'll be life-changing.
Yeah, I mean, and even if you have no outdoor experience, that's why I really appreciated a lot of the stories that I heard on course, a lot of where my crewmates came from and like their lives before course, how some of them didn't even, they're just like, hiking, what is that? Bugs. Those are monsters. Right. And then to see them at the end and just being like these trailblazers, I don't know, it was impactful, even if it wasn't like me, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So just do it.
Yeah, I think something I'll quickly add is the tolerance level that I grew for everything, specifically bugs. You know, I was very much so, and Elizabeth too. We were both very much so like, you know, freak out if something's near our ears or bugs in general. Like, nah. And I was still very much that way when we got to Florida. However, by the end of it and coming back to Colorado and then now being back in the Pisgah National Forest in North Carolina, it blows my mind the things that happened to me that I'm not bothered by anymore in terms of just being surrounded by nature and insects.
And not showering for 14 days. I mean, easy.
Yeah, that was...
Was it 14 days? Let me not exaggerate. I don't know how long it was, but it was long.
I think we might have gone longer than 13 days.
I mean, I can count on one hand the amount of times we showered.
You can, yeah, in 65 days.
Yeah.
It was 5 times or 4?
Yeah, it was like 5 times.
Yep.
It could be 6 if you count the last day, because I think some people showered like the very last day too, but by then I was like, I'm going home, so.
Yeah.
Quick shout out to all of our instructors that we had the opportunity to meet and learn from. Can't name them all, but definitely Addie, Kartik, you know, Red, Tara, Rocky. Shout out to Styles too. She was very helpful with a lot of things, and things that we needed, and just a lot of other people that were in the background. And definitely shout out to our course members, our crewmates. Love you guys. What is one food? I mean, you live on base now, but like, what is one food that you still eat that is similar to what we ate on course? I'll tell you mine after you tell me yours.
The burrito, or like gato gato, you know.
Gato. The thing I eat the most, fried bagels. The best thing I ate on course, hands down. With the garlic and the peanut butter. I don't care. I said what I said. I said what I said.
That was on Paradise Key when we got trapped for 3 days.
That was the best breakfast I've ever had.
That was
butter on the bagel, fry it, put some garlic. Nick with the garlic. Shout out to Nick. And then peanut butter on it. I've never eaten so many bagels, but I still eat that on occasion. A lot. No, it was definitely amazing. And just the memories. Like, I like being able to hear the things you remember and be like, oh yeah, and then just sharing what I remember, and those are forever gonna be with me. But to anyone wanting or thinking about going on a course with Outward Bound, it doesn't have to be 65 days. There are courses that are shorter than that. I think any course, though, can be life-changing because it's an experience that you don't normally have, right? You don't normally get thrown into a pool of challenges with a bunch of strangers to depend on. So, and I think that, I don't know, just that creates like bonds super quickly. It creates trust that you're just like, no, don't normally give away as fast, but you have to, right? Because your, I guess, quote unquote, survival depends on it. But I mean, it teaches you a lot about yourself, about others, and you get to learn some stuff on the side. So like, you know.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me. Let's keep in touch. We can talk about course more.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Of course. It was a pleasure.